Hello, and welcome to Day One Pass Podcast, episode 482. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Matt Lawrence is here with us. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing pretty good, yeah.
I think, so far, I don't want to speak too soon. My internet might be okay.
No, I say you have to have the old 3-week test.
Sunday, it does seem to be the day where things go either good or bad, so...
There you go.
However, the last couple of weeks, I haven't been on the podcast because, like, Friday, like, it would just, like, poop out. So, I don't know. We'll see. Things are going well so far, though. Today's been good. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing pretty good.
What's new?
It's been Fallout fever.
It has been Fallout fever, hasn't it?
It's been kind of crazy, to be honest. Fallout show, Fallout, I mean, we're going to talk about it, but the next-gen patch, which is a little confusing, just to be honest, if you're a cross-gen... Or not cross-gen, but cross-platform gamer. It's a little bit weird. But no, it's been Fallout fever. It's been pretty crazy. We've been playing 76 again as well, on a personal note.
Crazy. I didn't know what would get us back into it.
Well, I think they're, like, obviously the show is helping, 100%, no doubt. But what also is helping is that there's been a number of improvements since we've been there. And when we left, the game was pretty good. We just sort of left when we were
for
done.
2 years straight.
Yeah, we just played it. Like, we played the whole damn thing, and then that was it. But now, we're starting to get... I mean, Atlantic City came out, I want to say not that long ago, but maybe it has been a while, but Atlantic City came out not that long ago. We have this sort of southern region that they're adding. So there's, like, actually a map expansion and a story expansion that's coming out. So we're actually getting, like, a whole new storyline, which is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it, actually. But I guess we'll talk about that and what we're playing. You want to start with your fun fact?
Yeah, we really do need a transition. Facts of Matt. Facts of Matt.
We don't have that kind of production quality here.
There we go. Hey, I do a lot of editing to these files. I remove the background. I compress, equalize, normalize. I levelate.
Levelate.
Yeah, like levelate the volumes of our voices and all that. I noise gate it. A whole bunch of stuff. I do a bunch of stuff. But anyway. That's not what you're here for. You're here for the I almost said the United States fun fact for some reason. You're here for the United States fun fact. Brought to you by Ovaltine. All right. So in, I guess, Fallout fever mode, we're going to have yet another. This is the third Fallout fun fact, but we'll keep going as long as Fallout fever goes, I think. We'll see how many fun facts I find. But anyway, this one is about one that I actually remember happening, because it's not that old, but kind of old, kind of buried. And that is, I don't know if you remember this, Ryan. Do you remember Fallout Online at all?
Oh, God, no, not at all.
So Fallout Online was supposed to be made by Interplay, the original makers of Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics. And it was supposed to be made alongside Fallout 3. Pretty weird. Now, before we jump into the, what was Fallout Online and what happened to it, many people actually believe that Fallout 76 was the very first Fallout game with multiplayer. And that's actually not the case. So Fallout Tactics, which was an Interplay game, had an online multiplayer mode where you could actually like pick a squad, and it was like sort of like a squad-based sort of tactical game where I believe Juicehead, I watched his video on this, where he was describing it as you have like a certain amount of points and you choose like how to equip your guys, and then you go into battle, and then that's what you do. Mm-hmm. But also, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel had a split screen mode, which I was unaware of. So Fallout Brotherhood of Steel is like an action RPG game, and it is, it's pretty weird. It's kind of like, I compare it to like Champions of Norath, although Champions of Norath is good, and this game is not.
What was the name of it? Sorry?
Fallout Brotherhood of Steel.
Oh, okay.
So Bethesda actually made... I've actually played it, but Bethesda has since made this game irrelevant. But this game, I looked it up, and apparently it has a split screen mode. I've never tried it, and I've never confirmed it personally, but that's what the research said. But anyway, back to Fallout Online. So Fallout Online was supposed to be, I suppose, the third iteration of an online Fallout game. And Interplay basically was running into some trouble, some financial trouble specifically. And eventually they declared bankruptcy. And to sort of recoup some of their losses, obviously they're having financial problems, they started selling off some of their IPs, including Fallout. So this was when Bethesda came in on the scene. So Interplay was the original creator of Fallout. Like I said, Fallout 1, 2, Van Buren, which was supposed to be Fallout 3, as well as Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. So basically, they sold off Fallout in 2007 to Bethesda. However, at the time, Project V13, which came to be known as Fallout Online, was allowed to continue its work based on a license agreement with Bethesda. Now, here's a crazy number figure, at least I think it's crazy. The Fallout IP was sold for $5.75 million. That's all that Fallout costs. Like that's all it costs to get Fallout from Interplay. That's what Bethesda paid. Crazy. Especially with the behemoth it is today. Now, admittedly, obviously, Bethesda put a lot of work into making it a behemoth as of today, but still crazy. Anyway, the license agreement that I was talking about, so the one where Fallout Online was able to be still developed, it had a few sort of things that had to be followed. Basically a contract, a license agreement, if you will. Or license agreement is literally what it was, which is Interplay had to secure $30 million in funding. They had to start full-scale development by April of 2009. And 4 years after the development of the game began, the game must launch, and Bethesda would receive even more money at this point, with a cut of sales and a cut of subscriptions if there were any. So Fallout Online was not going to be developed by Interplay. They brought on a studio called Masthead Studios, and Masthead Studios was going to develop the game. Interplay was helping with some creative control and things like that, obviously because they had created the franchise, and they were also going to publish the title. And members of the Interplay team were actively involved in providing that creative control and design. Most notably, potentially, was Chris Taylor and Marco Green, which were two of the original creators of the series. Now, we all know the Fallout Online did not come out. It's like, what happened to it? And this is because, partially, and we don't have the full story. We don't exactly know what kind of happened behind closed doors. But basically, Bethesda eventually filed a lawsuit to have this license declared null and void due to the license conditions not being met. So, around the time that Fallout 3 came out, Interplay started selling what they called the Fallout trilogy, which is Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics, all in one disc pack, if you will, all in one package. Because I actually have a physical thing with, I don't know, it's 1 or 3 discs or something like that.
From back in the day?
From back in the day, I have like the real one, yeah. So I have like the Fallout trilogy back from 2008. But Bethesda at first, in this lawsuit, took issue with the fact that this was going on sale because they claimed that this trilogy hurt the sales of Fallout 3. Now, this wasn't the strongest case. So then, through some investigation, some lawyering, whatever, Bethesda claimed that its license agreement at this point had actually been like completely broken. And one of the reasons is because Interplay was supposed to raise that $30 million in funding. And something kind of hinky happened here. So Interplay absolutely did raise some funds. They did so by selling some stock. But in the $30 million figure which they claimed they raised, they included the hiring, this is so weird, the hiring of Masthead Studios, because they said that it was $30 million worth of value when it was all said and done, because they hired Masthead Studios on a royalty basis, and that by hiring them, they had acquired funding, which is a little bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this lawsuit progressed, and Bethesda then started claiming, okay, Interplay is allowed to make Fallout Online, but only in name. They can't use in-game elements. So they can't use things like super mutants, like Pip-Boys, whatever, all that stuff. They can't use this. And then all of a sudden one day, this lawsuit just sort of settled or dried up in whatever way. And it was settled formally, finally, in January 2012. So we don't really know what happened behind closed doors to lead to this. But basically, the result was January 2012, things get settled, like I said. And here's the list of things that happened. And it was very beneficial for Bethesda. Interplay's license to make Fallout Online was null and void. All rights granted to Interplay to make the MMO, which was Fallout Online, was reverted back to Bethesda. Interplay had no ongoing right to use the Fallout brand or any Fallout intellectual property for game development. Now, Bethesda did have to pay Interplay $2 million as a part of the settlement, which, if we remember the figure from earlier, is almost half of what they paid for Fallout. Like Fallout was $5.75 million. $2 million, you're approaching kind of ish wishy-washy the 50% point. Like it's a good portion of the $5.75 million.
Mm-hmm.
So Bethesda paid an additional $2 million effectively for Fallout as a part of the settlement. Now, Interplay was allowed to continue selling the original Fallout games in that trilogy, like I mentioned, but this was only up until December 2013, after which all rights to market those games would revert back to Bethesda. And as a side note, Interplay did still have the rights to merchandising for the original Fallout games. but that expired at the end of 2013. Like that had just naturally, as far as I could find, just naturally expired at the end of 2013. So what was Fallout Online? So Fallout Online was obviously an MMO, as I've mentioned. It was going to take place on the West Coast. So you're going to see lots of, sands and things like that, sort of like the Mojave, as we're more tailored, or we're more familiar with these days. And it was Interplay's first sort of take on a 3D Fallout game. So Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics were isometric games.
Yeah.
And they were turn-based games, as far as I know. I don't remember. I can't remember if Tactics may have. I believe that Tactics multiplayer mode may have had like a continuous combat mode. But at the very least, I played one, and I believe I've seen two played, and they were turn-based. The first one was that
Brotherhood game.
So that's why I'm distinguishing. So the third game is like Champions of Norath, where it's an action game. It's real time. You can run around and it's an isometric game. It's not third person, it's isometric, but it is real time. It's like a stick shooter kind of style, but you're not shooting. You're like attacking and stuff. Now, Fallout Online had a different take on the Pip-Boy, and I'm calling it its iPad equivalent. They had the Pip-Pad, of which we saw pictures of it in the newsletter, because like Fallout Online was legitimately coming out. There was a website. I remember going to it. You could sign up for a newsletter. You could sign up for a beta that was coming up. And Fallout 3, remember, Fallout 3 had just released, and Fallout 3 like introduced a lot of people to Fallout, the license. Mm-hmm. And when Interplay released this website, it immediately crashed because so many people went to it. And then they said, "Oh my God, like we're gonna like this game's gonna be immensely more popular than we originally thought. Like we're gonna have to think some things through, especially in terms of like making sure the beta will work and things like that."
Yeah.
But there was a pretty cool newsletter that came out where it was almost like it was from the perspective of the game, where it kind of like started on like paper and then like slowly became like it slowly like went onto pit pads and stuff. Like I'm just sort of loosely describing it, but it was a pretty cool sort of like in-universe newsletter, if you will. Now here's something interesting, and this is kind of from 76 a little bit, and that is that Fallout Online was going to feature PvP and PvE, and the PvP was to be available throughout the majority of the game. However, like 76, I don't know if it's still the same way in 76, but at least when we first started playing, it had that sort of like slap system where you had to consent to participate in the PvP.
Right.
So if you don't know, for the listener, in 76, if Ryan and I are not on a team, I ran over to Ryan and I shot him, it would do like a tiny bit of damage. Barely anything. Doesn't even matter what my gun is, just a tiny bit of damage. Ryan has to then shoot me back, and then now we're fighting. Now we're like having a duel or a fight. The game was going to be build focus rather than skill focus, so it wasn't going to be like a Call of Duty where you could snap shoot and all that stuff. It was going to be more build focus gameplay. Also, similar to Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, there were going to be playable ghouls, so you can actually play as a ghoul in Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, and again here in Fallout Online, and that's it. I tried to see if I could find if the website was still up or anything like that. No dice in that way. And now we have Fallout 76. So Fallout Online kind of disappeared into obscurity. And not that long ago. Like again, like this settlement was 2012. It wasn't like 30 years ago or anything like that. It was in the 2000s.
When was the game supposed to be like out?
The game was supposed to release. I have that somewhere here. 4 years after the development began, and the development had to have started by April 2009. So we're looking at 2004, because I assume there'd be some wiggle room in there. So like 2014 would be where somewhere in there is when they would release the game.
Yeah,
but that's it. That's my fun fact. That's Fallout Online. I actually distinctly remember going to this website. I remember what it looked like when I watched a video on it. I remember signing up, and I may even have some of the old newsletters hidden in my inbox somewhere.
Oh,
pretty wild.
Crazy. Do you own Brotherhood of Steel?
Yep.
For PC or?
No, for Xbox.
Oh, okay.
It is not on PC. It is a console exclusive game, as far as I'm aware. PS2 and Xbox original.
Yeah. It doesn't look very Fallout. I'm looking at the cover here.
It's pretty bizarre, and there was a sequel planned. Maybe that's what my next fun fact will be. But
it kind of kills me how messy franchises were back then.
Well, like
I guess they are still too. I mean, if you look at the Alien franchise and stuff like that, or even Terminator franchise. So
to be fair,
messy.
Though, those two are old hat, so they would inherit the mess of old franchises.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could argue that the MCU is a mess, but it's a very managed mess. And it's not really a mess, it's just a volume of stuff.
But at least it feels like there is a singular vision behind it all, at least. There's some creative force that's trying to piece it together. But here you got all these different games from different studios who have different interests, and it's getting bought, and you know what I mean?
Well, especially too, like, one thing that's really unfortunate is, like, I don't know how many, I'm sure there were many, but in terms of like actual population, like, I don't know how many people really loved Fallout. But then,
that's a good question too. I mean, but there were like the two of them, the two main ones, right? And then
and Tactics, like Tactics is loved for sure.
So there definitely has to have been enough to warrant that many, at least three mainline games.
And Fallout 3, not the Bethesda one, the Van Buren one, has leaked online in pieces, and I hear is largely playable.
What does that look like?
It's like an isometric game, but
does. Oh, okay.
Well, so there was supposed to be another isometric Fallout game, a Fallout Brotherhood of Steel game. There's supposed to be a sequel to that, and then that was supposed to, I assume, accompany Van Buren to some extent. So, I mean, for Interplay, Fallout was, a decent part of its, existence and its life. Like, Interplay's still around; they're still in business. I don't know what they do now, but no, that's, I mean, Fallout has like a bit of a messy past, and I kind of wonder. Because I was watching a video on Brotherhood of Steel the other day, and the one guy said, it's a little bit sad. Like, some people don't like the direction that Bethesda took Fallout, but he was kind of saying
there was some anger, wasn't there, when 3 came out?
Of course, because it's a totally different game. However, it did expose the series and make it super accessible. It's kind of like when a song comes out, but then you see as made famous by another artist, not the original writer and performer of it.
Yeah,
it's sort of like Fallout as made famous by Bethesda. Like, of course, the hardcore sort of, what's that standard for? I think it's called GURPS or something like that. The hardcore standard for RPG tabletop games. Like, the original Fallout was supposed to be sort of respectful of that system. And like, I don't think it ended up becoming, very faithful to it, but it was certainly very faithful to RPG games back in the day. Like, if you're dumb in, like, if you have a low intelligence, if you're dumb in Fallout 1, you have a low intelligence, your guy can't speak. And the characters talk back to you. So he's like, go here. And your guy goes like, huh, he's like, go here. Like, he's trying to talk like that is, that's RPG. Whereas Fallout 4, arguably it's sort of like, yes, sarcastic, yes, no, not right now, but later. Like, those are your options. When
you're a big corporation, you want to make money, and the best way to make money is make your thing accessible to the biggest audience. I'm not a hardcore RPG guy, but I love RPGs like that are easier and more accessible. So I'm more likely to buy it. I would never buy and play a hardcore Fallout game.
I think that would be one hell of a piece of content, though, Ryan. You trying out Fallout 1, I can help you. I know the mechanics.
Oh my God.
Because, no, here's the thing, though, is I think because it's so dynamic, especially for its age, I think it'd be like if we had like recorded us together, I think it'd be fun. I think you yourself would be struggling. There's no, I mean, just because I did too, like, there's no tutorials, there's no nothing. You don't like old games, so you'd be struggling in that front as well. But I honestly think like you would enjoy it. Like, it's so like, it's so silly and ridiculous. Like, it's Fallout. Like, Fallout, the sort of the vibe that is Fallout, right? The thing that we compliment the show so much on was there right in the first game.
Oh, like, yeah, I've watched Oxhorn's playthrough of it. I haven't finished the whole thing, but I've watched the first like several episodes.
Did you see Richard Dean Anderson?
No,
he's the mayor of Junktown.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah, he's a voice actor.
That's crazy.
There's I think the thing that helps Fallout so much, just in general as a license, is it's very real and silly at the same time. Like, you go into a house, like, I think Marty and I were talking about this. It's in the show. I mean, slight spoiler for like a slight exploration thing, but not really a plot point. But Lucy like goes into a house.
What?
And she sees like a family that has killed themselves, like the skeletal remains of a family that has killed themselves. And it's sort of like the music fades away, and it's sort of like, oh my God, like, this is pretty bad. Then she turns around. There's nothing really in the house of value to a wastelander. So she walks away, and then it's just like, your radio fever. Like, right away, it's just sort of like, woohoo! Like, let's go back out into the wasteland. Like, it's just, I think it's like a super accessible thing because you don't have to be sad all the time. You don't have to be happy all the time. And the lore is super rich. Like Junktown is mentioned via those stupid magazines, Tales of a Junktown jerky vendor throughout like the Bethesda game. It's like, it's ridiculous.
I think that's what's so delicious about Fallout is that it is both very serious and dark subject matter, but they play it very tongue in cheek, and there's like a weird dark comedy to it all.
Yes,
and it's just fantastic.
And nothing like there's enough intrigue and interest because things just aren't as they seem. Like Vault-Tec is not as it seems on the front, right? And then there's also like little things even pre-war. That aren't Fallout or that aren't Vault-Tec related. The commercial for Nuka World, which is also its trailer, literally like it's fun for the whole family, blah blah blah, and then it's like the most like legally what is the line? It's something like they have the minimum acceptable. That's it. They have the minimum acceptable safety standards, and they literally put it into their jingle. It's like we have the minimal safety standards. It's like, look, we've got our. It's safe. It's like, well, kind of,
All right. Well, thank you for that, Matt.
Thank you.
We'll hop into the stories for the week. Moving on to Xbox VR headset is on the way, but it's actually a limited edition MetaQuest. This is from The Verge. This was a statement that Microsoft released that, quote, we're working together again. Wait. Sorry, this is from Meta. I thought this was from Xbox. This is from Meta. We're working together again with Microsoft to create a limited edition Meta Quest inspired by Xbox, says Meta in an announcement today. It's part of a Meta opening up its operating system that powers its Quest VR headsets to third-party hardware makers. Asus and Lenovo are creating dedicated headsets that run the Meta Horizon OS. But the partnership with Microsoft sounds like it's simply a limited edition headset, much like how Microsoft creates limited edition Xbox consoles. In an Instagram post, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg says the version of the headset that is being teased today comes out of the box with Xbox controllers and Game Pass, so you can immediately start playing on a big screen anywhere you go. Do you think this is actually this is from The Verge, by the way, but do you think this is kind of the smart way to handle this? Rather than making a headset yourself, partner with like another brand and just let people play Xbox games on a big screen in VR.
I think so, especially in Microsoft's case, because you and I were just chatting about how their hardware division isn't doing too well, and part of that I do blame on. I would actually say on their part with their lack of enthusiasm, in my opinion, on the Surface line. But also, the Xbox is not winning the console race. It's not even really a close second. It is, I think, in second if we don't count the Switch, I guess, because the Switch is off in La La Land. But so like another hardware proposition for Microsoft may seem to be a bit too much. And so this is like a way to say, okay, like, we're Microsoft, our services are doing well, our software is doing well. Why not partner with someone who's willing to have us? They have all the hardware stuff all set up and whatever, and we'll just, help them guide the process. And there's nothing saying, unless there's some sort of exclusivity, which I haven't, seen or heard of, there's nothing saying that if this does massively well, that Microsoft can't down the road decide to go into VR themselves.
What's interesting here to me is that Meta, when they first kind of switched over to Meta and was all going to go in on virtual reality and build all these headsets and things, I remember Mark Zuckerberg saying that they wanted to be the Android of VR. They wanted to control the platform and the OS that all VR, then runs on. And so to see the Meta Horizon OS, also come out on potentially Asus and Lenovo headsets, I find that very interesting.
I think it makes a lot of sense as also for a niche thing as well, right? Like VR is still a niche. Not everyone has it. Mm-hmm. And so like a great example actually is Wear OS. So like Apple has its Apple Watch and it has whatever they call Watch OS. And then Android has Wear OS. And obviously Android's so big and has so many hardware partners that Samsung had its own watches for a while. Mm-hmm. It had the Gear lineup. It had Tizen on there running. And like even Samsung was like, you know what, like why are we sort of splitting our talents here? Like why don't we go with Google? Wear OS is kind of having trouble, and we may as well make the platform better, and then we Samsung will make the hardware, run the software that we help make, and then we're gonna just have a better product.
Yeah.
And like I would say that assuredly Wear OS definitely has some problems still, but it's about 40,000 times better in my experience than it was before.
Yeah.
And like that's a huge feat, for something that was around for years and years, because I had gone through a number of watches just due to age of the platform. And so like it just makes sense. Like Meta is like a good person, I would say, to partner with in this particular case. Like they have consumerized a niche product that's normally for like prosumers.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't you go with them?
Go with who? Sorry.
Like why wouldn't you go with Meta? Like why?
Right, okay.
Like Xbox goes with Meta. Anybody, like anyone who wants to go with Meta. I think you said Lenovo, Lenovo and Asus. Like why wouldn't you go with Meta? Right. It's kind of like how Windows is on a Lenovo laptop, on an Asus laptop, on an Acer laptop. It's like why like Meta is the person that has the quote unquote Windows of VR.
Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. If we go by, I believe it was Bill Gates who said that there can only be really two platforms in any given market, like two successful, like, ones that are used by a lot of people. For example, Windows and Mac OS, Android and iOS. And now you have Meta clearly, I think, taking up the lead in VR with Meta Horizon OS. Apple has the Vision Pro, but it's super expensive. So is that going to be enough for them to take that second spot? Because right now, who else do you have? Steam, like Valve, the
Steam
their headset,
Vive, I guess.
But have they really done anything lately?
I guess. Well, not really. Actually, to be honest, like it's definitely Meta that's running the show here.
Yeah,
I would say for the most part. Obviously, yes, there are competitors. I will say this though is that VR is like weirdly accessible. You can run like a Samsung Windows mixed reality headset, and it'll run like a lot of the VR games on Steam. There's actually quite a bit of accessibility in the VR space, like a lot of kind of hardware agnostic software, which is really interesting. Like even the Meta software, we're talking about Meta's operating system, but it'll plug into Windows, wired or wireless, and it'll go on Steam. Like it'll, like VR is really versatile, I would say. And like to its credit, because I think it needs to be that way because it's so niche. But the reason why I say all of this is that the Meta side of things and the Vive side of things, the Index side of things, is a different side of things, in my opinion, than the Vision Pro. Yes, you'll be able to play games on Vision Pro and stuff like that, but I don't see it being really a VR headset, if that makes sense. I feel like Apple's trying to create, and this is just my feeling on it, that they're trying to create their own product segment, and that the Vision Pro is only as big as it is and only functions the way it does because that's where our tech is at. Mm-hmm. I think that like I could really see like a pair of goggles being the future vision, right? Like a barely bulky pair of goggles that can go AR or VR for Vision Pro. Because the thing here is that like Macs can game, yes, and like Macs have been getting more into gaming. Meta Quest can also game, but Meta Quest is also sort of like a device that does plug into a bunch of other things. Whereas the Vision Pro will only be in the Apple ecosystem. So it like begs the question of like, how much are those two competing? Like, is a Vision Pro for productivity? Is it for gaming? And I mean like gaming, like, playing AAA games, not just Bubble Witch Saga or something, right? Because anything can run that stuff now. Yeah. But like, are these products competing? Like, is someone going to go, I'm going to get Vision Pro over Meta? Like, if you're in the Apple ecosystem and you're there for productivity, would you ever, once the Vision Pro comes down in price to regular pricing, would you ever go Meta? Like, are these two platforms even really fighting each other directly? Or is this a tale as old as time, Android versus Apple again?
I think it will eventually become Android versus iOS. I think they're still trying to figure out what is the use case for this, because once you have a laptop or desktop and your phone, you don't really need a whole heck of a lot else, right? And so it's hard to justify these other devices. So I think they're still trying to find that wherever it is. I don't know what it is. Maybe it doesn't even exist. Right. They're trying to find that use case that will, set it on fire, and everyone is now owning one of these, right? And I feel like they're kind of converging, because the Oculus Quest, Meta Quest, is really pitched as a gaming device, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The Vision Pro was pitched as a productivity device. They only showed off one game being played, and it was like a total of like 10 seconds in their entire announcement video. Mm-hmm. They really did not pitch this as a gaming device. It was productivity and like movie experiences, right? Watching movie and TV shows and whatnot. And now it feels like they're converging, because now I see a lot of content coming out of Meta of using the Meta Quest for productivity. They got like freaking spreadsheets open and stuff. They're doing like desktop kind of stuff in it now. And I almost feel like Apple might eventually shift into making it more gaming focused, and both products will merge and do the same thing at a certain point as they compete, right?
It's a good question. Like that's kind of where I'm at, where like they're advertised as different things. And the Meta Quest almost feels like, to me, like they're selling an experience in which I'm going to go pick up a VR headset and wear it now. Mm-hmm. Whereas Apple is like that, again, just because that's where the tech is at. But I feel like the Vision Pro is the beginnings of something where they want you to effectively have, a glorified pair of smart glasses that interacts with the Apple ecosystem in a way.
Yeah.
And you just wear them all day, and you take them off at night, and then you put them back on. So you kind of like almost suit up, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to work, you bring your MacBook, you have your Apple phone, your iPhone, you have your Apple Watch, and you have your Vision Pro, and that's what you would bring. Like, I feel as though, but like a Meta Quest is not going that way.
No.
Like, they don't seem to be trying to go, super slim or anything like that. And we haven't seen a second iteration of Apple's thing either, to be fair. Like, I could be totally off base.
I think that'll be very interesting, though, to see where it gets to. If it's successful, it may wither and die,
But do you think that Apple likes the bulk of it right now?
No.
Like I feel like Meta doesn't care, because it's a device in which you have on your shelf, and you literally go, oh, I'm going to go into VR now. It's a very it's distinct decision you're making.
It's tricky too, because like they over-engineered the Vision Pro.
Sure.
It has that front display to show your eyeballs, and show like a weird kind of, some kind of image when you're like doing something. That's completely unnecessary. That was them trying to solve the problem of it being like an isolationist kind of experience. They're trying to make it more interactive with the rest of the world, but it's completely unnecessary. Right?
Sure.
So you could drop that. You could drop a lot of things to make it a lot cheaper and a lot more affordable. But I feel like they just wanted to come out of the gates, put everything they had into this to see where it can go.
Well, it starts the R&D on everything as well.
Oh yeah, because then it will all start working its way down to other products, but then also other versions of the Vision Pro.
And it cuts out a lot of what ifs. Like, if it has, just making this up, if it has a super advanced like LiDAR, and then they're like, okay, we're going to put this in the first couple versions, and then they put it in the first couple versions, and they're like, you know what, this is really keeping the cost of it up, and it's not selling well. By the way, only 2% of our users use it. Okay, cut the LiDAR.
Yeah.
But they're not left wondering, what if it had great LiDAR? Like, what if that's a thing that people want? Should we try it? That what if is gone.
Mm-hmm. And things will trickle down. So I feel like they are going to have a normal model of this eventually. The fact that they called it Vision Pro right off the bat makes it sound like there's going to be a Vision headset or something, just a normal Vision VR thing.
Vision Air.
Yeah, a Vision Air. That's actually a good point there. And then with the iPhones, the features trickle down to the other products. So the iPhone Pros model usually have the best features, and then they have the normal iPhone. But the normal iPhone in subsequent years will get some of those Pro features eventually.
Right.
And I think that's going to happen with these headsets too.
Actually, funny enough, I kind of wonder whether Microsoft partnering with Meta Quest is trying to, I understand it's Xbox specifically that's partnering with them, but I wonder, because there is Windows mixed reality, I
Is that still
wonder if
doing anything?
they're trying to. Well, I think I want to be clear. I haven't used this thing or done a lot of research. I looked it up years ago, but I think Windows mixed reality is just there. So like, if you did have a VR headset and you just wanted to use Windows in that, like the Windows just kind of float around. It's not super advanced, right? The thing is,
it looks
though,
super thin though.
right? But what I was going to say with that is, I wonder whether they're going to try to get like help Meta, because Meta has the Meta Pro headset, and that one didn't do too well,
Which is apparently worse for gaming, despite it being more powerful.
right? Because it's not meant for that. It's meant for online meetings and things like that.
I know, but a high
professional-
performance productivity PC is still a great gaming PC.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just funny that this is a higher performance headset that's not great at gaming.
But what I'm wondering is, I wonder if Meta is identifying that that's a misstep, and Microsoft wants to sort of reinvigorate Windows VR if in any case or in any way they can. And so maybe they're kind of partnering up with Meta on the Xbox side of things because of the gaming, but then they're going to slowly but surely be like, hey, like, we're going to partner with these features, sort of like how they partner with Samsung to have the quote unquote best experience for connected this PC or whatever with an Android phone.
Right.
And so I wonder if there's going to be a partnership here beyond Xbox where they go, hey, you want to have, Windows mixed reality, blah, 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 productivity and gaming. Come on and, get this Meta Quest, and you get an Xbox controller and, have Game Pass, and then put the controller down and have Windows and blah, blah, blah. I wonder if this is going to open the door for that to fight the productivity angle of the Vision Pro. Because like I said, right now, I don't really see them being competitors right now. They just seem to be similar form factor, different markets.
It's still crazy to me. And I know Microsoft is now the world's biggest company, but via market cap, but it's still kind of hilarious that they missed the phone market. You know what I mean?
They did that to their own damn self they had so many blunders, like Windows 7 phone and crap. Like, holy God.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, you never know what's going to happen, and even Apple has to be a little concerned right now because the reason why Microsoft has pulled ahead of Apple is because of Microsoft's early adoption of AI features and things. So it's always you never know what's going to be the next big thing. And even though they missed the phone market, clearly, they were first on this AI stuff. So,
well, that's a whole kind of conversation in and of itself too, because Microsoft, like you said, is ahead on the AI type of thing, but they've fallen behind in in other areas like their hardware. For example, we were talking about the Surface and the Surface lineup,
and Xbox.
And Xbox as well, but the Surface lineup you had mentioned like hadn't sold too well. Like the recent sales numbers weren't too great. And I was saying how even though I'm not an Apple guy, I still see the excitement for MacBooks, and not just from people but from the company. But I just don't see that same level of excitement from Microsoft on stuff. And if we look like back in time, being like, hey, why didn't Microsoft get into phones? I mean, BlackBerry was stuck on the keyboard, and Windows was stuck in its own way too. Like Windows was stuck on the productivity train. And they were stuck on the stylus, and a Windows phone being kind of more of a PDA, like literally like a Palm Pilot almost, right? Like a glorified Palm Pilot using a stylus and using Windows for productivity, using like a mobile version of Word, I'm sure, and things like that. They weren't really into the whole consumer experience. They were more into, well, people are going to want to continue doing their spreadsheets and things like that. And so I understand it had UI and UX problems, but which didn't help it certainly, but it's like these big companies, they get stuck on like a vision, even car companies. Like, I mean, famously Henry Ford never was really hesitant to make the Model A because he thought, no, the Model T is like an affordable car. It only comes in black because it's affordable and like blah, blah, blah. And I believe it was his son that like convinced him like, hey, we got to have something a little flashy, like not super flashy. You're right, Dad. But like, come on, it can't just be like this old kind of clunker that we're selling.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if VR is the right thing to choose. There's a lot of concern now that like Apple should have chosen AI. Although here's the problem with the whole, I think Microsoft's winning more on the marketing standpoint, right? Just because they have like Copilot, and they partnered with OpenAI early on and stuff. But AI is in every software company's, apps and things.
Yeah.
Apple has AI all over the iPhone. Adobe has AI all over Photoshop and crap, and Samsung has AI features freaking replacing moons and pictures and stuff.
No, not that again. Damn
My
it.
point is, it's just that everyone has already been using AI.
Mhm.
It's just Microsoft's kind of somehow figured out how to make excitement around it, and that's why they're getting all the attention right now. There was a report earlier this week that Apple is going to work on their own AI processors for servers. So it's like they're still doing stuff. It's just they don't have the same flashiness that Microsoft somehow managed to achieve.
Well, I think Microsoft did it well, did it the right way, where they said we're coming out with Copilot. Copilot comes out on the web, and then very quickly comes right to the desktop platform. And then now, I'm on Windows right now recording this, and Copilot's one keystroke away. Or like I guess two, because it's a keyboard shortcut.
Well, it's now shipping on keyboards.
There's that too. I was actually going to mention when Google Assistant was really big. Actually, you, Ryan, you got me into Google Assistant with a Nest Mini for Christmas a number of years ago, and like I was like super into it. Like I was like constantly reading up on like its new features and stuff at the time, and I ended up like equipping the whole house with smart lights and stuff. And one of the things I wanted to have a Google Assistant on my keyboard, and the certain Chromebooks had it. And I was like, man, like, I wonder if there's a way to get this Android app to work on my computer. And then I could like do like a keyboard shortcut. I didn't really explore it too far, but I thought, man, Cortana at the time, like Cortana sucked, but it would be awesome to just have a quick Google search, click a button and it does it. And that's exactly what I have now. When Copilot opens up, type in my question. I actually close it, let it figure out its answer, continue working, check on it in a couple minutes. Okay, here's this big old answer. Write it down, and that's it.
I guess it kind of is just a glorified Google search, isn't it?
Well, it's like asking a person for something. It's more like asking a person than it is asking an interface.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's exciting times, though, Matt.
It's pretty crazy.
I gotta say, it's pretty exciting, even though there's a lot of hesitation out there from people.
I think that's, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know there's probably some sort of political thing. There's probably some sort of religious thing. Like it's so new that like everyone's still chiming in, religious thing, personal thing, people that are against tech, people that love tech, every facet of humanity right now is like, love it or hate it for the moment.
But I would say better to be cautious than to just jump into something, so powerful, and like go 100% at it,
I agree with you, but at the same time, I'd be the guy that goes like, yeah, fuck, just go. See what happens. Whoop, that was a big mistake. I understand that sounds irresponsible, and that's probably why I don't. That's what's happened
with social media. It's just been left to its own devices for the last 20 years.
Well, to be fair, for a number of years, it was like people putting up like little music widgets on their MySpace of like Linkin Park playing, at like a low bit rate. Yeah. So to be fair, the government looks and goes, I don't really need to regulate Linkin Park playing at like, sub CD quality. Like, come on.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next story here, Matt. What is it? Boosted by the Fallout TV show, Fallout 76 sees over 1 million players in a single day. That's from IGN. So this was in a series of social media posts from Bethesda that almost 5 million people jumped in across all Fallout games in just a single day. That includes the likes of the original Interplay published Fallout games, Bethesda's Fallout 3, 4, and 76, Obsidian's Fallout New Vegas, and the mobile game Fallout Shelter.
Yeah.
Bethesda also singled out Fallout 76, its most recent mainline Fallout game, which saw over 1 million people play in a single day. So just alone, 76 had 1 million players. While Microsoft, Sony, and mobile platforms don't disclose their player numbers, we had a good idea of how well Fallout games were doing post-show via Steam, which makes concurrent player numbers publicly available. All Fallout games on Valve's platform enjoyed a boost, with Fallout 4 seeing the most number of players, followed by the multiplayer-focused Fallout 76, then New Vegas. Data trackers have said that Fallout Shelter has seen a revenue boost. People buying those, what are they, lunchboxes?
Yeah, lunchboxes or Mr. Handies or any of that, and pets and stuff now.
So, I mean, we kind of talked about this before we got into the news here, but we all jumped back into 76. I've been playing Fallout 3 on my own time. I've been enjoying the hell out of it.
I've been playing Fallout Shelter.
You've been on Fallout Shelter. This has been crazy. So how's it feel, Matt, to be back in the Fallout universe?
It feels real good. 76 especially. I remember we played it that first night. And we had tried to boot it up a few months ago, and we all kind of downloaded it, had some trouble with the update, where we're just going to take up too much space, and we all just sort of deleted it, never booted it up. And then we finally booted it up and had like a proper session. And I remember sitting there and be like, I feel like I'm home.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's kind
exactly
of
what it felt
crazy.
like.
It's weird, right? Like, it's, man.
Because all our stuff was still there, just as we left it.
Yeah, I'm still all equipped for Halloween. Like, I left right after Halloween, and my whole camp is just a haunted house.
Oh yeah, did you build it in Halloween?
I built it. Yeah, I built it for Halloween. Like, I bought all the Halloween stuff, and then I built it for Halloween, and did the trick or treat event.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say then, man. Fallout's good.
Well, one thing is, I guess we're gonna actually talk about. I was gonna say the next gen update. I guess we could talk about me personally on that. I did download it. Someone told me it was totally massive, like 100 and some odd gigs and blah blah blah. Again, didn't confirm that. Then I went and I downloaded it from Steam, and it was not even close. I don't even think it had reached 50 gigs. Now, whether or not that included the DLC, maybe my DLC didn't install or something like that, I'm not really sure. But no, I don't know. Manage My 7 DLC, it's in there. So I'm not I'm not entirely sure what happened or why it didn't take as much like space as these other people said, unless the console size is like absolutely gargantuan.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're playing Fallout 3 where? On
Game Pass.
On Game Pass. So like on PC though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here it is. Installed files. This is right from my Steam right now. Just installed it fresh. Size of installation, 35.67 gigabytes. That's on Windows 11, if that makes any sort of difference. So like, I don't know whether like maybe the PC version isn't getting as HD as the console is. Like maybe the jump is not as far because it's, the PC could handle better textures back then or something. I'm not sure, but I'm excited to also jump back into 4. A little disappointed on the whole Fallout London train that I was going to jump into that, but
well, we can talk about that for a bit here because that is an unusual thing to happen.
That is very unusual, yeah.
I think you know a little more about it than me.
Okay. I was gonna say, are you introducing it to me? No, that's fine. So Fallout London basically is a big sort of, I think they call it a total conversion mod. Basically a standalone game, but it is a mod for Fallout 4, where they basically have a full campaign and all that, a full world built out in London, like London, England, in the UK, exploring, across the pond, if you will, for the first time, as far as I know, from the Fallout series, which is pretty cool. And the game was going to come out, and it decided it was going to come out in April. It had a delay. Everything was going to come out last year, but the sort of definitive date was April 23rd. Now we're recording this on April 26th of 2024. So it's 3 days late. And basically what had happened was the next gen update for Fallout 4 was supposed to come out in 2023. Then there was a fair bit of radio silence, and then it released on the 25th. So 2 days after the planned day that Fallout London was going to release. And so they basically said the problem is that if people download Fallout London and then their game automatically updates on Steam, and they don't know how to roll back the update, of which many people probably do not know how, Fallout London will most definitely break. And a bunch of mods are going to break because of this new version.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's also mods like in the game now. There's new Creation Club stuff and whatever. Like this is a revitalization of 4, this patch. And so it was a bit I mean, it sucks for sure that this huge project that is effectively complete now has to be sort of refitted, retrofitted, whatever, for the next gen patch, which it always would have needed to have been, more than likely. But it sucks that it was just a 2-day difference in release. And I want to say the lead developer actually ended up on BBC to talk about it, and he was saying how they never heard anything from Bethesda and how that kind of sucks and whatever. And I'm just paraphrasing what he said. And we had a discussion, Ryan, and I also had a discussion with Tim about this, where some people are saying that it kind of sounded like he was entitled to an update from Bethesda. That Bethesda should have reached out to him to say, hey, this is coming out on the 23rd or the 25th, excuse me. Your mod is coming out the 23rd of April. This might cause a problem, blah, blah, blah. Here's a dev build or something. But in the same breath, and this is what we discussed, and Ryan, I'm sure you'll chime in now, is that Fallout or Bethesda does not owe the mod anything. Like the mod is unofficial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also will say this. It does still suck. The situation still sucks. If I was one of the developers on the mod, I would totally be pissed. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say like, oh, like whatever, like I'm not entitled, I'm fine. Like, no, I'd be pissed. Like, worked on this thing for years. Big voice actors are in it. Like Asterion is in it, in Fallout London, the voice actor. Sorry, I don't remember his real name. I just know him as Asterion. But I'd be pissed. So
100%.
I totally get being pissed. But it is one of those unfortunate things where it's like Bethesda is this huge corporation. You're doing something unofficial and they don't owe you it. Now, Tim had mentioned something about how maybe if they had gone the Creation Club route, there could have been more dialogue there. I believe, or as far as I know, I believe that's all speculation on both him and my part, because him and I were discussing that. So maybe that could have been a route. Whether or not the Creation Club even allows a mod of that size, I don't know. Again, but I mean, Bethesda doesn't owe anything to the mod. But in a perfect world, a perfect world with a lot of courtesy, yes, Fallout/Bethesda should have reached out and in a courtesy move, or in a courtesy filled, I suppose, move, been like, hey guys, we're going to release on this day. I know it's close to your release date. Here's a dev build or something, or like a warning earlier, rather than just dropping it on them. However, for the people that say that they're not entitled to it, they're correct. Bethesda does not have to tell these modders, because the modders don't work for Bethesda.
It's a very kind of tricky situation, because Bethesda's been very supportive of modders. You not only doing the Creation Club thing, putting them in the game, whatever else, and they actually really embrace the mod community. But when you go so far as to basically make an entire game based on their IP without their permission, you know what I mean? That's a little wishy-washy.
Well, I don't think that that's necessarily the case, because it still requires Fallout 4. Like, it is still a mod to Fallout 4.
Yes, but you can't just use someone's IP to make a new product.
I don't really even see it as a new product. It's just a really big expansion, because the Fallout London people are not charging for it.
I know. I understand that.
So, like, to me, I don't think there should be a scale of your mod. Like, Bethesda shouldn't show up and say you can only have one town in your mod. One town and one combat.
Have they not shut down other mods that have gotten too close to replicating the game?
Those were mods that were trying to replicate the old games. So it would be like Fallout 3 inside of Fallout 4, for example.
Yeah, but I don't see much distinction there then.
Bethesda's losing a sale on Fallout 3.
Yes, but because they're the owners of the IP, they're entitled to make money off of that IP.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're making, for the lack of a better term, counterfeit IP, it's the same as just making their own game again.
Well, in this particular case, though, if you wanted to play Fallout London, that Bethesda directly profits, and you don't own Fallout 4. That's the difference. The difference is, though, if you wanted to play Fallout 3, you're late to the party. Like, you want to play Fallout 3 right now, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is actually a project. There's ways that these projects get through it. Like, there is Skyblivion, which is Oblivion in the Skyrim thing. Yeah. They have a dialogue with Bethesda, as far as I know. They've asked questions about voice actors and blah, 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 and music and stuff like that. There's ways that these mods get it done. But for the mods that try to, like, direct copy, use assets, things like that, Bethesda then will hit them with a copyright strike, of course, right? With a takedown notice. Mm-hmm. Because they're literally taking, like, say, Fallout 3, copying it, or at least a portion of it, putting it into Fallout 4. Now let's say, Ryan, you're like, I'd like to play Fallout 3, but I'd like to play it in a more modern way. Well, I'll just buy Fallout 4, or I already own Fallout 4, and I'm just going to download this free Fallout 3. So it's taking money out of Bethesda's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Fallout London is, like, as far as I understand it, and I am not a lawyer, as far as I understand it, they are safe from this, because all they are is a mod on steroids. Mm-hmm. Like, your typical mod is, like, a combat arena, a couple of different things. And yes, there's a bunch that are much bigger than that. But, like, in general, right? A piece of armor, a companion, a player home. Those are, like, sort of the traditional mods that are flooding the universe, flooding the mod scene. So, like, mod packs like Fallout London are few and far between.
This raises the question then: why did they not have communication with them? I think that guy in that interview said they had talked about their social media like community manager or something like that a couple times, but that was it. They didn't have any real higher ups talking to them or anything like that. Why would Bethesda not talk to them? I mean, in one case, I guess Bethesda doesn't have to test to see if their big ass mod works on their new update or not.
That's what I'm saying.
Their only concern is their new update.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they want other mods to work, but it's not their primary focus, right? Because I know this broke a lot of other mods too, right? This update.
It broke like pretty like as far as from what I've read from a lot of social media stuff. So grain of salt, but this broke a lot of mods because a lot of mods are obviously working on the previous updates.
Yeah,
or like the latest update, and now there's a new latest update, right? There's the next gen update and the whole like creation club thing and yada yada. So a lot of mods are going to have to update. This is the same with Skyrim. Like some mods are stuck just on Skyrim vanilla. Some are on Skyrim Special Edition, yada yada. I don't understand the whole breakdown there, but there's different versions of Skyrim, right? Special Edition, Anniversary,
so they have to
vanilla.
update their mods to work with the new updates. And the only problem here is you made such a big mod that it's going to take a long time to update it, right?
Well, there's a YouTube video that is not the BBC interview that has the same guy, the lead developer guy, and he was saying that there's some things, and he mentions it by name that I don't know what they are, but I think it's like script extender maybe or some other things. Some other crucial underlying mods that they use. Because there's mods that are utilities for other modders to use.
Mm-hmm.
And those utilities, which I assume is what he was mentioning, are going to break. And so now there's some underlying Fallout London stuff that's going to break. Like it's not going to boot up, the scripts aren't going to be extended, yada yada, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And so then you have like people are going to like boot it up and it's going to be like, oh, this was like shit. And then they're just not going to download it.
Mm-hmm. So that could take a long time, if not forever, to kind of work out. Like they might not have the money to keep going or the will to keep going to update this thing.
I think this one is so close that they will, because at the end of the day, even if they say, okay, we're throwing the towel in, but it works on the previous update, like I know how to roll back my save,
mm-hmm.
like, or my update. Like I can do that myself. And I know it's not, the easiest thing in the world. I know some people don't know what to do, but like it does work on the previous update.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would just leave such a completed project there. But a lot of these mods that are sort of mods that are tools for other modders, they're updated pretty religiously.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that whole thing. But I will say this, is you were mentioning, it's not up to Bethesda to test Fallout London. That's 100% true. And also you have to remember here, like Bethesda's kind of doing a lot of stuff. Bethesda's trying to fix Starfield. They have, Fallout 76 updates coming out. And I understand they have separate studios and stuff like that, but still. They also have a full show coming out, which was the first time ever. They have season 2 looming now of that show, and they're making Elder Scrolls 6. Like there is a lot of stuff that Bethesda's doing, and like breaking, some big mod pack. As sad as it is, and it is sad, is not one of their concerns.
I have a great deal of sympathy for the developers. They put a lot of work and passion into this project. It does really suck, and I wish things didn't go this way. But Bethesda's main concern is their own products. It's just the reality, I didn't like that the guy either insinuated that there was something. He said he didn't think it was nefarious, and yet he brought it up anyway, which I thought was kind of funny.
Oh, the release date. He was saying how like he didn't think that the release date being so close was nefarious, but it was kind of suspect or something. Like that's at least the vibe.
That's basically what he brought it up, despite saying he didn't think it was nefarious. But they announced this update like a year ago, so this mod community was given a long time to know this was coming. I guess maybe they wanted Bethesda to work with them and like send them builds, and so they could make sure that was compatible.
Well, they were going to release Fallout London, and then they expected the next gen update to have released either last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they were expected it to release in a few months, in which they would have still released Fallout London. It would have broken, and then they would have just fixed it.
Right.
Like many other mods right now. They just have to fix it.
I'm sure a part of him, too, wants to also ride this wave of Fallout excitement, because if London launched right after the show came out, that'd be a big boon for them.
Mm-hmm.
But he was trying to say, like, why didn't it launch like on the day the show came out? Because
like
that's
the next gen update, you mean?
Yeah, but it's like that's not how things work. This might have been completely planned as different release date, completely separate to the show. Or you want people to watch the show first and then have the update come out.
To own the, that's what you and I were discussing earlier today, to own the press space for longer.
Yeah. He tried to make it sound like they did it to screw over the London mod specifically.
Right.
Now he said it wasn't nefarious, but he brought it up. That was my only problem with that guy's criticism.
I do agree with that to an extent. Like, I do definitely think it was kind of like, why bring that up? Like, bring it up if he brought it up in a way where he was just like, man, it sucks that, like that it came out and it was so close. And like, if he kind of framed it like that, but it's just a little bit weird to just sort of like almost like half raise the question and then be like, but it's not that, right? And then just kind of like be quiet on it. It's like, I'm like, okay, like, why'd you bring that up?
Yeah, but it does suck. I do hope they can figure out a way forward. I wonder if Bethesda is going to reach out now after he's gotten some press coverage. Hopefully, maybe they can patch things over.
Probably not, because the next gen update's a mess.
Yeah, they gotta fix their own update. Yeah, actually, that brings us right into this our next story here about how much of a mess that next gen update is. I only played it for a bit. I noticed some graphical issues, but it wasn't like that big of a deal. However, this is from IGN here. Bethesda's highly anticipated next gen update for Fallout 4 was riddled with issues across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. It was formally released on April 25th, 2024. Oh yeah, 18 months after it was announced. But the several gigabyte update hasn't been met with much fanfare. The Steam version of Fallout 4 appears most wrought with technical issues, though PlayStation 5 players have struggled to obtain the update at all due to an availability error. Now that was just with PS Plus, right?
Well, it's also a weird wishy-washy area because people who bought a PS5 got the PlayStation Collection or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, do we own that or don't we? Like, what is, how does that work? Yeah, a little messy. I personally can't download Fallout 4 on PS5 for free, even though I have the disc version, to be clear. The disc version of the Pip-Boy version of the game, whatever it was called, Survival Edition or whatever. But I have not inserted my disc, to be clear, but I do have because I have played the game since, and I do have the PlayStation Collection because I bought a PS5, claim that, and I've been using that. However, that's a bug, and apparently they're fixing it. But
Xbox players don't have access to the game's quality mode, meaning they can't experience one of the main appeals of the next gen update, 4K resolution on ultra settings. This specific issue was confirmed on X by tech expert Digital Foundry's Thomas Morgan, who said, I can confirm that only the 60 frames per second performance mode works right now. The update has a bug. PC players... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the one thing that's really confusing about the Xbox version is, I was talking to you guys, the PS5 version has like a PS5 version in the store.
Yeah.
But all the DLCs now say PS4/PS5. So, like, there's a clear distinction, I guess minus the DLC, that there's like a new version of the DLC or of the game on the PlayStation Store. But on the Xbox, like when I went to Xbox Game Pass, I was like, wait, like it says it's available on X and S and like all this stuff, but it always was. Is this the updated version, or do I have to pay because Anniversary Edition of Skyrim is not included with Game Pass? You have to pay to upgrade it. So it's sort of like, what am I downloading? And I kind of wonder whether this bug is because it's downloading like a Game Pass version of it or something, and it's supposed to be the full one, but it isn't, or like this is a little wishy-washy. I understand this is just an update, but I almost yearn for the days of them re-releasing Skyrim. They should have just re-released Fallout 4, call it like Fallout 4 2 or something, and it would have been clear.
I understand why they did this next gen update. But I feel like 76 would be the one that made more sense. It's their live service game. It's an online game. It's going to continue for years to come. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten an official PS5 or Xbox Series patch yet. It did get a patch to get 60 FPS, so it runs a lot better.
Right.
But I think visually it's still at like PS4 Pro levels.
I think they're doing the 76 thing good though, because like I said, Atlantic City wasn't that long ago, and they have a really big update coming. I feel like they played this right. They quality improved a single player game, and they content improved a live game.
If you don't count the bugs in that single player update.
Well, we're talking about Bethesda. Unfortunately, we're talking about Bethesda. It's a bit of a mess.
Here's one of the sad parts. PC players, meanwhile, have taken to Steam to flag a myriad of issues with the update. Many of the bugs that existed and were promised to be fixed are actually still in the game after the patch, says Piglet in one review. And then finally updated the game and didn't fix a single issue, wrote Birthday Jesus. But now the mods I used to use to fix it don't work.
I have a theory there too, and this is solely a theory, but I noticed there was some patch notes for Starfield that said that it fixed a particular quest, and then my game had the bug, and I looked it up, and people said, "Oh, it's fixed in this patch," but then comments were like, "Hey, no, it isn't." Some people had it fixed, some people some people didn't, and I'm wondering how many of these bugs are fixed, but only if you're on a new save. That's a complete theory that I have never tested, but it is something that, like, if I was going to be a person testing, that's what I would try.
Mm-hmm. You know, I wonder why they don't just buy those mods that are patches. Just buy them. You know, just pay them for that patch and incorporate it.
Honestly, sometimes, yeah. Like Bethesda could pay a few $100 or a few $1,000 or whatever the
why not crowdsource software updates like that? You know, because there could be some modder who gets pissed off at some bug and just decides to fix it, and then just use that.
It would certainly be a good thing in single player games.
Yeah,
multiplayer games, God, the security holes would just be out of control.
That's a fair point. But as I said to you and our friend Marty there, that it wouldn't be a Bethesda update if it wasn't riddled with bugs. So it's just business as usual. I was hoping that Microsoft's purchase of them would help QA a bit, but
Starfield's not that buggy.
No, Starfield's not that bad. Yeah,
honestly, Starfield isn't bad. I would actually say in terms of
it feels like a normal game. Yeah,
bugs. Yeah, it just feels like a regular game, and I would say it is the most polished Bethesda game I've ever played at launch.
They had the benefit of it's a new engine, right? An updated engine.
Yeah, Creation 2.1 or something like that.
And they had the benefit of only having to work on Xbox and PC rather than add PS5 in there and stuff and Sony platforms.
That's true.
Which they said did help actually with their development, so that's good. However, I could see Starfield coming to PS5 at some point in the future. You know, now that Microsoft is all in on this, not all in, but is starting to get in on getting their games everywhere.
Aaron seems to want it. He was kind of saying that he thought maybe that it hurt its sales, and like, I mean, maybe it hurt its sales a little bit, but I don't think that.
Wasn't it one of the most successful Bethesda games in history?
That's what I was going to say. I don't think it hurt it as much as maybe we think.
Successful at launch, I should say, because Skyrim probably has outsold everyone.
That's a good question. I actually don't know. Well, one thing too, though, is like it's on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
So like Starfield's on Game Pass. Like, I mean, I bought it because I bought the special edition, but
yeah, same here.
If I wasn't buying the special edition, I would just play it on Game Pass.
Yeah. All right, that's it for the stories. A lot of Bethesda talk, a lot of Xbox talk, which is good. We don't cover Xbox as much as we probably should. Same with Nintendo too.
I'd say honestly, in the past year, the Xbox has become my main console.
Really?
The Xbox used to be my multiplayer console, and then I would always be on the PlayStation 5, and I struggle to pay for games now. Like, It's just, why would I pay for a game on PlayStation when I can go on my Game Pass and just do that?
Yeah, and it's going to take a while for them to get a lot of the Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass, but once they are, it's just like, well, Jesus, there's like a third of the major games that come out now just on Game Pass.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty incredible. But yeah, let's hop into what we're playing. Matt, what have you been playing? We know 76, obviously, but anything else?
Yeah, I'm playing Fallout 76. One thing I do want to get back to is frickin' RoboCop. This damn Fallout fever has completely destroyed my RoboCop playthrough, and I'm on like the last fever. Has completely destroyed my RoboCop playthrough to the and I think I'm on the last or second last chapter, which is really unfortunate. I do still like the game a lot. Like, RoboCop's a hell of a lot of fun. I've sent you some crazy clips of me like picking people up and whipping them into rooms and beating the crap out of them, and they're screaming as I pick them up, and like that game is fucking ridiculous, as it should be. It's an 80s movie game, but I've actually been playing a bit of Remnant with Tim. We're doing the highest difficulty, Apocalypse. Could not think of the word. We're doing the Apocalypse difficulty on single player, and we're just sort of trying to get through the story. Like, the game is fucking hard, so we're not doing all the side stuff. We're doing a little bit here and there to get, some supplies and whatever, and if something's, particularly fun, we'll go through it. But we've been going through, and I want to say we've completed one realm. We've completed Nerude, which is the sort of sci-fi wasteland kind of area. So we've completed that. Other than that, we played a bit of Farming Simulator, which is hilarious. We did. We think we're going to switch up next week, though, because like when you pick up a big job in Farming Simulator, you're literally going back and forth for actually like 2 to 3 hours. Like till the field one way, turn around, till the field the other way, turn around, and like rinse and repeat. You know, I don't need to repeat myself because it's obvious. It's it's relaxing. It's cool, but maybe not for stream.
I was worn out by the end there.
I will say though that if we had a lot of people talking to us in chat, it would be a different experience. Like if you're more of like a talk show, that's a great game to have on the screen.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not super distracted by like a complex combat situation or whatever. You can just have a nice relaxed conversation while you till your fields, right? And just sort of like make money in farming sim. So it's a great stream game, but I just think you need a little bit bigger community. We had a hilarious chatter as well that I thought was Tim's friend and caught us off guard with some stuff. Hilarious though. I'm not complaining. I loved it. So thanks for that if you're listening. I really enjoyed our conversation. You caught me off guard, but I think that has been it. Still haven't beaten Call of Duty on PSP. Horrible.
Myself, I've gotten the Uranium Fever as well. The old Fallout Fever.
Yeah.
Been playing Fallout 3 and it's been a delight. That game is totally playable. So if anyone was worried about it being too old, I mean, give it a go. It's totally playable. Still, the free shooting is rough, and I think it's only because you're still getting percentages, even though you're directly aiming at them. I haven't confirmed that, but it definitely feels that way. Like your reticle is right on them, and the bullet flies off to the left. You know what I mean?
It's not exactly like an ADS, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so that takes a bit to get used to, and it's just not. It just doesn't feel like a good shooter. You don't really aim down sights even when you do it. It's you just kind of zoom in, but it's still firing from the hip. You know what I mean?
That's like an old school shooter kind of way to aim.
But VATS is just awesome. VATS is so good, and I miss it in 76. It's still there, but you don't get the slow bullet time kind of stuff and seeing body parts fly off and whatnot. Oh, the grenades are so good. You just toss a grenade in VATS and instantly it detonates, which is kind of weird because when you just throw it without VATS, it lands and then takes a second to blow up.
Have you used VATS not to like throw the grenade like you said, but to shoot the grenade when they throw it?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's good stuff. Like especially when it's just leaving their hand, so it's right in front of them. Kaboom!
I think you can still do that in 76, can't you? But it's like it's happening so quick that you're just not good enough.
It's almost like snap shoot it in a way without the full aiming, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm having a really fun time playing that again. And it's super simple. Like I'm just amazed that I'm not just inundated with quests like I would be in Skyrim. I got 40 freaking quests going. You know what I mean?
Honestly, like there's not that many in Fallout 3. I found.
No, there's like most people don't talk to you about quests.
Nope.
Which is so nice, actually.
There is some like cool little like world building things in that game too. Like I remember you can like go and like get these two people to like fall in love and get married, and they'll tell you when
that priest guy or no,
the priest guy. It's in Rivet City.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
people start telling you rumors. Oh, this person really likes that person in the church, and
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
yeah. And
you can like convince. You have to do some like weird like Queen Ant pheromone thing, but like you do that, but you can actually like go to their wedding and stuff. And like I really liked unmarked things like that, where it's just like the characters say, "Hey, we're gonna go do this," and they do it, and it makes it feel like, man, if I wasn't here, they'd be still doing this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I got a weird Easter egg for you, Ryan.
Okay.
Have you been in the? Well, I got two. Have you been in the front part of, which is the broken part of Rivet City's ship?
Yeah.
And you've like met the guy that can like change your appearance. That's it. Yeah. Okay. And then there's another one. Is this applies to Fallout 76 as well, and probably Fallout 4. Tim didn't know this. If you sit down at a restaurant, a waiter will come over and serve you.
I did not know that. But I remember you telling me that, I think, at some point.
It's pretty wild. I know that's so freaking like not critical to the game, but I love it.
But it's those details though that really make a game stand out. Particularly in a world where we live where now where every game is pretty gorgeous, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you need those details now to really enhance that immersiveness. And for a game that old to have something like that is crazy.
There's even some pretty crazy like have you been to the Republic of Dave yet?
No.
Okay, I'm not going to ruin that for you then. But there is a
I've played the game before, but God, I don't remember every single thing that happened.
Well, there's a quest, like this one's like, I mean, a bit of a spoiler, but it's not that crazy. There's the two brothers, I believe it is, that run the gun shop in Rivet City.
Yeah.
Eventually, you can do a quest for them, and you can actually just get rid of the brothers. And then, like, they just don't run that shop anymore, and someone else does.
God, what was their name? It's like Lock and Load or something like that?
Something stupid like that, yeah, I can't remember, but...
Flack? Was one of them Flack?
Flack and Cannon, or I don't know, something.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can, like, get rid of them somehow. I can't remember exactly how. But you can get rid of them, and then like there's just like this really sort of like solemn hardcore military dude that just runs their shop, and then that's it. Like that's just the end of them. You should go to Point Lookout.
I will. That's the DLC, right?
I love Point Lookout. Yeah. Oh, there's so many unmarked quests, and like that's my shit for some reason. It's so good.
Yeah, if I'm gonna keep playing this, the Fallout fever might die down, particularly when playing 76 alongside this. But I so far I am kind of planning to finish it again. I'm planning to do the DLC, which I think I did because I had the Game of the Year edition when I played this back on PS3.
Mm-hmm.
So I must have played the DLC, but I just don't remember a lot of it.
You know what's crazy? I heard nothing but complaints about the PS3 version of that game. I played Fallout 3 the first time ever on PS3. I had the regular version, the vanilla version with no DLC, because no DLC was out at the time.
No updates.
And well, so I got it for Christmas, and it had come out, I believe, in November or October. So, you know, a couple of months of updates approximately, like ish. And people complained about that version of the game left, right, and center. I never had any problems with it. And that's like the one time where I can be the person on Reddit that says mine works. You know, when someone asks for technical help, and then someone else comments like, well, mine works. Like, it's the one time I could be like, yeah, I actually didn't have any problems. It's so weird. Like, what was your experience on PS3?
Oh, God. I mean, it's so goddamn long ago. I don't remember. I don't even think I was aware that bugs were a thing back then.
I think I'm in the same boat. Like, it's kind of weird. I played a lot of games back then, but I just sort of played games. I didn't like look things up.
Yeah, same here. I didn't know that there were issues in games. I don't think.
I remember when I first started modding Oblivion, I had a friend over, and he's like, "I got to get the unofficial patch." I was like, "Who cares about patches? Like, I don't even know if I updated, you know, my Oblivion to the latest patch." He's like, "Well, there's all these bugs and glitches." I'm like, "Is there? Like, like I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just happy to." Or easy to please or something. I don't know. But people were complaining about crashes. And I remember a couple of crashes on PS3.
I do recall crashes. Yeah.
I only had a couple, like not that many. Because I was definitely susceptible to crashes. I wouldn't put up with that.
Yeah. However, I did have a, I don't know what you would call him. He used to be married to my cousin. Then they got divorced. But he still talked to me about video game recommendations.
Okay.
And I had recommended him Skyrim. And he had nothing but complaints about how buggy and glitchy it was.
Oh,
he said he liked the game, but he stopped playing it because it was too buggy for him. And he had a PS3.
That game did have serious trouble on PS3 though.
Yeah.
Remember our buddy Connor like found out that if you touch water, the game freezes. So just like he messaged you, like he's told me this several times that he messaged you, was like, Ryan, you having freezing problems on Skyrim? And you're like, yeah. So then he replies, well, just don't touch the water. Try it once and you'll see what I mean. And then you jumped in a lake and you're like, holy fuck, I froze.
It wasn't even a lake. It was a stream in a cave. So it wasn't even like a water physics, like big pool of it. It was just a stream running down a cave.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Other than that, I did purchase and start Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Okay.
And I haven't been playing it much just because Fallout took over. But I do want to get back to that this weekend, hopefully.
What is that? Is that the remake?
It's the sequel to Remake.
Okay.
So I think they're breaking up 7 into 3 games.
Okay.
Now, I heard that sales of this one might not have been that great. even though sales of the first one were pretty good.
Maybe the itch should have been scratched. They wanted more Final Fantasy VII, and they got it, and then they just never came back.
It's hard to make. I don't know what to make of it because I think if you're playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, you're probably already a Final Fantasy fan, right? And so I feel like you would somehow know that it's been broken up into multiple pieces because they did not call this Part 1. It's called Final Fantasy VII Remake. And then they had some weird add-on called Intergrade, which was like a little expansion, more different character, little story, right?
Yeah.
And then this new one's called Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the same word for remake almost. And I feel like maybe there's just a marketing issue here.
Well,
you know
I was gonna say, like, is one better than the other? And I mean, this is just Metacritic, but Metacritic, a PS4, Final Fantasy VII Remake, generally favorable, sitting at 87. That's from the critics. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so the sequel to that, PS5, 92 from the critics. So it's higher.
It was well received by critics, yeah.
And there's more critic reviews. 135 critic review on the PS4 and 148 on the PS5. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, I kind of feel like it was marketing. I didn't see a lot of marketing for this one.
Well, you can kind of see that here. I don't know if it's specifically marketing, but in terms of the users, 8,618 user ratings on Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's the PS4 one. Now, admittedly, it's, been since April 10th, 2020, so approximately 4 years. But here's the thing. February 29th, 2024, that's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Only 3,248 user reviews. Now, I don't really watch Metacritic reviews, whether, reviews trickle in slowly over time, whether there's a big dump of them and then it slowly trickles, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I would expect that number of user ratings to be higher. Weird.
Yeah.
You know what it also could be? Everyone's been talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake for years, even and like to the point where I don't even play Final Fantasy and I heard about it. How many people jumped into Final Fantasy VII Remake just to see what all the hullabaloo was about, and then they're just like, "Oh, Final Fantasy ain't my game."
Possible. Final Fantasy is a bit weird right now because they had 16 come out, and I don't think there was a lot of excitement for that. I don't think a lot of users liked it, if I remember correctly. And so maybe people are just, it's a little too much Final Fantasy going on right now. Maybe they need a bigger break.
I don't know. I would need to talk to, like, you're the second person I know that plays Final Fantasy, and the other one is not like a diehard fan either.
Neither am I. The only reason I try to play Final Fantasy games is because they're like a big deal in the industry.
Right. You want to experience it. Right.
I don't particularly care for the combat system. I play it because I want to, know what's going on.
Right.
So, but yeah, because we had Final Fantasy 15 wasn't reviewed all that well either. And then you had the MMO, which is doing really well over the pandemic. It did huge. Everyone was playing it for some reason. But then you had what was that prequel to the first game or something like that? And then you had 7 Remake, and then you had 16, and now 7 Rebirth. And it's just like, that's a lot of Final Fantasy going on here. I wonder if people
and they're big games.
Yeah.
Like,
people are just burnt out a little bit.
These aren't 20-hour games. These are big games.
You know what? Screw it. I'm going to turn it down to easy mode. Sick of people making you feel like you're not a gamer because you turn a game down to ease mode.
I'm not one to gatekeep like that. Like, I could really give a crap whether you even play on like Recruit or something. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: is when I play, I personally feel bad if I don't play on at least say normal.
Mm-hmm. Like
if it's easy, normal, advanced, hard, I have to play on at least normal, and I kind of hate it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of that purist thing where it's like this is the difficulty the game developers had in mind when they designed the game.
Right.
There's a thing with audiophiles where they never touch the EQ because if you play the song flat, right, that's how the engineers of the song wanted you to hear it.
Mm.
But they don't take into account that you're not listening to it on the speakers or the amp or whatever it is that they mix the song on. So sometimes you do need to EQ it to make it sound better. And it's a medium about enjoyment. It's entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
You should experience it how you like it. So turn it down to easy if you want. That's what I say.
What's interesting too is like in other things, I'll make it easier for me. Like I don't go this is going to sound weird, but I don't go to like a door and be like, I'm going to open this door the hard way.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to do laundry the most difficult way. I'm going to have one piece of laundry per load just to make it harder on me and cost more water. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like, why would I do that? So, I mean, it's a good point. Like,
well, part of games is challenge, is overcoming that challenge. So that gives you that dopamine hit, right? So you do kind of want a little bit of that. But there are times too. There's times when you just want to be dragged through a story. And that's why a lot of games nowadays do come with like a story mode where it's like super easy and you can just experience the story, which is nice.
I think that's why live service games have taken off. I know that Fortnite's not exactly all that easy because it's PvP, but something like 76, like, man, if there are hard activities, assuredly, but if you don't want to do those, I can play that game with my eyes shut.
Yeah.
Like, for, more or less. And if I just want to listen to a podcast or something, I totally can play 76 in the background.
Yeah. All right. That's everything for this week. Thanks for joining me, Matt.
Thanks for joining me, Ryan.
Well, you can watch us stream in Remnant, I think. Remnant 2 on twitch.tv/DemonPatchMedia.
New DLC.
Wednesdays, the new DLC, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Hey.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.